Well, this is a peculiar little project I'm working on. We'll see how this goes. It's interesting. It's a little wind charger. It's like $100.99 from this Vevor company. Now, I've had other stuff by them, and I always find it kind of interesting. You know, it's Chinese, but of fairly good quality for Chinese stuff. Fairly well designed. You run into weird things like when I was assembling these blades onto the hub. You know, the hub is a cast piece, and some of the holes had a lot of flashing in them. You know, I had to drill them. But they give you lock nuts, which is nice, and they actually even give you a few extra bolts, which is nice, and they give you these fine tools. You know, the weird thing where I'm having a bit of confusion, they have an interesting way of mounting it onto a pole. It's a clamp type affair. Now, the good thing is, I'm impressed that they actually have, there's got to be a brush and slip ring set up in here, because you notice the wires rotate with the base. So that's good, because some real cheap ones don't. And then, you know, you've got to keep untangling your wires and stuff. And it's a weird wiring. It's 3 wires here, all the same color, 3 wires here that you hook them to. And evidently it doesn't matter, you know, which 3, and then you've got your 2 hots coming out. And it will charge 12 volts, 30 amps. Yeah, 500 watt. Interesting. But you can run it either a single 12 volt, or you can hack 2 12 volts into series, and it'll automatically switch to 24 volt. But like I say, you know, 99 cents over $1 or over 100, that ain't bad, you know. Fairly good cast solid unit. This evidently is some kind of a heat dissipator. But my problem I'm running into is now it's a weird size, the pipe. But somewhere in this box there is a little piece of rubber that fits inside this coupling that is evidently supposed to, well, here it is. You know, it's the right size. So I'm guessing that's a kind of a shim, though there's not a mention of it in the directions, but my God, you know, it's the usual crazy Chinese directions where the directions really don't apply to the model that you have, and the wording is really squirrely, you know. So what I'm working on here now is to try to come up with, I've got this good piece of aluminum. It would be like a heavy conduit that a guy gave me many years ago that he found on a road. Well, I thought, man, that'd make a nice little tower. But I'm going to have to get a reducer of this size that knocks it down to a size that'll fit into here. You know, and I could use a better, smaller piece of pipe. I could make something work, but I'd really like to use this big chunk of aluminum. That's a nice piece of aluminum. And I've had it laid around for years, so I'd like to use it. But we'll see if I can get this thing set up. This would be my big hesitation. You know, mysterious little black box. And it's weird, you know, like here it says charge or on load. What the hell is on load? Is that like discharge? But at least it's a sealed little unit. But, you know, if that was to go bad on you, it'd probably be cheaper to buy a whole new generator than to try to find that unit. But this company, like I say, interesting. I have some other stuff from them. And as far as, you know, cheap Chinese crap goes, this company seems to be on the high end of stuff, quality-wise. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see how it works. So it'd be handy for charging up a 12-volt battery. You know, I don't use much power, but I do need to charge a 12-volt battery about once a month to charge my phone, because that's the only thing I really use power for. Otherwise, for other stuff, I could use the generator. But we'll see how this works out. I just got to come up with a coupling, or, you know, a reducer that will knock it down to whatever this mysterious size is actually supposed to be. Which, of course, is not in the directions. But I'm glad to see they got a slip ring in it, because then you can actually run your wires right down your tower. Though I would be tempted to kick them out of the tower near the top and run them on the outside. Otherwise, you know, you got your wires coming out on the bottom of your tower. That's no good. The weight could cut the wires. It'd be better to drill a hole in the side someplace, but if I could do it on top and then have the wires hanging down, just strap them onto the pipe. And I don't know, you know, we'll see how this, you know, supposedly this is very computer calculated, but just looking at it, you know, there really doesn't seem to be much of an airfoil. You know, like normally on an airfoil, this should be thicker, this should be thinner. It is, but not very much. And there is no speed limitation on this. Though there is a weird thing, you know, I really, this whole 3 wires all the same thing is a puzzle to me. But evidently when you're putting this thing up, the one thing I did see in the directions, it says to hook all 3 wires together, and that locks the rotor so it won't turn. You know, it's a direct short, and it works like a brake. So I don't know if this thing actually controls it in that way. I do not know. You know, it'd be interesting to have an actual diagram of what's going on inside here, or inside here, but these things are really designed for like a portable unit for camping. You know, you pull your motorhome out in the middle of nowhere and slap up your little wind generator. Or people using them on sailboats, that sort of thing. You know, it's a nice little rotor, and they make many different variations of this, which is why the directions are so damn vague, because it's meant to cover, you know, a bunch of different models. But like I say, it doesn't cover this model. It covers a 3-blade model, and it covers this egg beater type one that they make. But it's interesting that they can get that much power out of that small of a unit. And it really isn't that awful heavy. But it's got some super magnets in it. But 500 watts of power, you know, 30 amps out of a very small unit. We'll see. I gotta come up with a way of fixing a tower situation. I could put it up temporarily with just a hunk of pipe, but I'd really like to use this piece of aluminum.